Hi Pisces, this is your forecast for the month of October 2017. If you have visited me before, I'd like to thank you for returning, and if you are new, welcome to my channel. This is a general reading for Pisces Sun, Pisces Rising, or Pisces Moon. It might also be helpful for you to watch your rising and moon sign. You can join me on Facebook and Instagram for daily insights on tarot and astrology, as well as my pay-per-view channel, vimeo.com/thealchemistastrologer, where you can find on-demand pages with videos for love, finance, and other readings. So Pisces, this first week, it appears that you're getting some type of news, especially something having to do with either business plans or some kind of physical matters. So you could be getting you could be getting some messages from hidden sources, something sort of behind the scenes, or some spirit messages, or just gaining a greater self-awareness. But this is a week that gives you some small opportunity to make some money or gain an advantage in some way. So for some of you, that's going to come in the form of a job offer, or maybe you're getting some on-the-job training. Maybe you're new in a position, and maybe you're working on a new project of some sort, or you're involved in school and there's some news about scholarship money. So this is about your ambitions, money matters, your occupation. And so for some of you, this is a week that focuses on making that deal. You may be wheeling and dealing, or you're focused on employment or dealing in commerce. This is also a week that may have to do with studies and learning and being conscientious, being a hard worker. So there could be issues that focus around being a serious student, or, getting your education. And for some of you, this again ties to dealing with people who may connect to money, maybe a bookkeeper, or somebody who keeps records, or somebody who organizes something. Maybe you are negotiating or speculating about something. And on another level, this can be about being a good friend, being loyal, being reliable. So this is a week that focuses on, trying to get that upper hand in some way. So your profession, your financial situation, and perhaps your health is front and center. Now, this could be a week where some of your connections, they may be unpredictable or unreliable, or maybe you're just beginning. This is new energy. So maybe you're just exploring the beginning of some type of relationship or partnership. And in some cases, maybe you overestimated the stability of that commitment. For some of you, you're putting off pleasure or the search for love or romance because you're totally focused on your career, your financial responsibilities. And so you're striving for some kind of tangible progress. For others of you, there is a relationship that you are, you're trying to lay the beginning groundwork. And so you may be getting, you may be taking somebody you're involved with. That relationship may now begin to solidify, or you're trying to plan out something that's more permanent together. And if this is the initial stages, this could be, the time where you're flirting, you're getting to know one another. But there is a significant turning point this week in your social life or your emotional life. And some of you are, you're networking, you're laying the groundwork in your community, you're socializing, you're getting more involved in the community, and that's opening up more avenues for you to have a social life. Now, for some of you, again, if this is centered around a romantic situation, this dream lover that you have pictured, again, maybe this person is unavailable or they're unpredictable, because this is a week where you could easily, have your head turned toward somebody else. You may find yourself being pulled in the direction of another person that's not your partner, or vice versa. Your partner may be attracted to someone else. However, because this person is likely to be unavailable or unreliable, the situation may appear more promising than it actually is. So this is a week to do some thinking, to try to figure out how you can get ahead, to be conscientious and very reflective about how to create a foundation for some type of advantage for you, whether that's economically, emotionally, or physically. Now, the second week, you have more earth energy. This is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, male or female. And again, you've graduated from a page to a knight. So things are steadily improving. And it may feel slow because this is the slowest knight in the deck. So whatever it is, this is taking time, but you're experiencing some steady progress, and it's likely to be something that's going to last for the long haul. So it's slow, but sure. Now, some of you are focused on offering your services. Some of you are, again, focused on improving your finances by using your common sense, being very diligent, being dependable, putting in a lot of hard work and effort because you're striving to see that tangible progress. So last week, maybe you got some news or a letter or a document in connection to income or collecting income, or an offer, a job offer, or some kind of advancement that would give you a gain or a boost in income. So this could be a week of opportunity where your luck is at play. There's some possibilities opening up for you, and maybe it's necessary for you to take a risk. Although this Knight of Pentacles tends to be very prudent, cautious, and sometimes overly so, because he's looking for the sure, safe bet. Again, some of you may be having contact with people who deal with finance, accountants, money managers, business persons. Maybe you're doing some business travel. Maybe you're dealing with landowners or managers or developers. Something where there's something tangible or security oriented. Now, some of you may be dealing with people who work with their hands, and this could be a tradesperson or a craftsperson, a mechanic, somebody with some kind of special expertise, or they use tools in their job, or instruments. This could also be a week of taking that risk, gambling, being a fortune hunter, giving yourself that small advantage to make some money. Now, if this is romantic, then we get back to that page and some new situations where you're trying to take something to the next level. Some of you, if your head was turned by another person, maybe you're involved in a secret love affair. Or if, again, you were getting out into the community, maybe you're putting yourself in social situations or group activities that open up romantic opportunities for you, or social experiences. Whatever it is, this is going to be a week where you're looking for the tried and true, what's solid, and you're not interested in relationships that don't offer you some sense of stability, gain, or advantage. Now, some of you may be focusing on how money has been used, with poor results. Maybe there was a lack of planning or some instability. Maybe there are some delays that you're having to deal with in business. For some of you, unfortunately, it could be some dishonest financial dealings. But in the negative, this is some obstacle. There's a lack of progress where you hit a wall and you feel a sense of stagnation or apathy. And this could be a week for those of you who are dealing with that, where you may need to tighten up your belt and be more frugal. Now, if you are trying to make some progress in a situation, you may be dealing with somebody who, again, could be rather rigid in their thinking. They're conservative, they're a traditionalist, and you may be seeking greater excitement or maybe willing to take that risk, but somebody you're involved with, is throwing water on something, that they're acting like a wet blanket, or you're being that to somebody. But generally, this is a focus on, again, trying to move ahead, playing it, traditionally to get some kind of increase. Now, the third week, there seems to be a lull. So for some of you, maybe you got some disappointing news and now there's been a break in your income, or you are trying to figure out what to do to try to increase your income. For others of you, last week, that gave you the patience to work on something, to hammer out some details with regard to something. And now perhaps you put in a lot of hard work and maybe you want to take a break. Maybe you're resting, or you were working out the details in order to take a trip somewhere. For some of you, you've gotten some disappointing news about, the progression perhaps of some kind of illness. So this could be a week where you need to take some rest. Maybe you're recuperating from something. It could be an illness or something stressful, or you're dealing with people who are ill. Some of you may feel as if, now for some of you, there could have been a break in income because, maybe you're striking or you're quitting, or some of you are, trying to get away from something. You're going into exile. And for some of you, maybe you have news and somebody's just hanging around too long. They're an unwelcome guest. Whatever it is, you're doing a lot of thinking. You're reconsidering your position, and you're withdrawing from socializing. If last week, or the week before, you were doing a lot of socializing, this is the week where things go quiet. There's not a lot of activity. There's not a lot of communication. And so you're just simply mulling a matter over and trying to figure out where you are and what you're going to do next. For some of you, if this is a welcome break, you're just appreciating life. You're enjoying that extra income that you receive. Perhaps you're seeking some gratification. You're enjoying life. You're content because there is abundance for you. But for others of you, you're trying to hold on to something, and you feel like your security is threatened in some way. And maybe, you've been working so hard and you've reached this plateau, and now there's a lack of motivation. So you're having to regroup, with regard to situations. And there could be something, some news that you get that you're just digesting. Now, maybe this news is restoring your sense of faith in your security, or maybe it's motivating you. Especially if you feel good. Maybe you got some news that, concerning making progress, and now you're just taking that all in. And because you're good, you're just taking this welcome break. But for others of you, there are issues related to health or your financial stability, or perhaps some third-party influence in a relationship. And you just got too many things going on, and maybe you don't know what to address first. And maybe you're taking too long. Maybe you're waiting too long, because again, that night is very slow. So you're waiting too long to deal with something because you think you're going to save it, or it's going to solve itself, or you're going to, try to breathe new life into it, but you're not dealing with the truth of a situation. This is a week where, even if you were making progress previously, or maybe perhaps it's just so slow for you, you just don't have a lot of options right now. And, maybe you're waiting on some news. You're waiting on somebody to explain to you about a situation. Maybe you're waiting on an apology and it just hasn't been forthcoming. Or maybe you're trying to figure out what you should say. Maybe it's taking you too long to tell somebody why something occurred and why you may be sorry for it. Whatever it is, this is a week where, slow and steady is fine, but waiting too long is you're going to experience a pileup where that waiting actually complicates the situation and makes it worse. Now, the last week you have the Hanged Man, and this is a major card, so this is an important week for you. Something is probably out of your hands, although this card has a tie to your ruler Neptune. So there could be some uncertainty this week. Matters, again, are still in limbo. There's a sense of waiting around. Action is suspended right now. Not a whole lot going on. So at the beginning of the month, you were probably making some progress. And now by the end of the month, you're kind of at a standstill and trying to figure it all out. And you may even be disappointed about something that, something you heard, or something regarding health or your financial situation, or again, a third party. You're disappointed. There could have been some issues of deception, something going on behind the scenes. And it could have been something insidious taking place without your even realizing it until it's too late, until the last moment. So this is going to be a week that calls for sacrifice on your part. For some of you, this may not be negative at all. You're trying to figure out ways to increase your income, and you're willing to selflessly dedicate yourself to a goal. But for others of you, again, there are more issues related to illness. It could be being a hospital patient, or dealing with someone, or maybe you're not so focused on the material, but you're giving more thought to the spiritual side of life. For others of you, you are looking at ways in which maybe you've been a martyr for a cause, and quite unnecessarily so. You could have been seeking validation, defining yourself by the wishes of others. Whatever it is, you're taking your time about something this week, and you may feel as if you're going through some kind of testing period, and everything is slowing down. Now, this process is going to allow you to gain some kind of enlightenment. You're tapping into consciousness if you allow that, and you're getting some spiritual messages, some spiritual attunement. And so this is a week of being flexible, being adaptable, letting go of the past, and changing the way you look at something. And it may require compassion or devotion. Again, some of you, there's some domestic or career changes that are happening, and sometimes you're having to give in to something, let go of how you want a situation to play out, and surrender to an opposing viewpoint. So this is a week where, for some of you, it's about your vision, your goal, your creativity, and your self-expression. Are you making unnecessary sacrifices, or are you really letting your own light shine? Are you building your creativity? Are you confident in your skills and your talents? So this is a week for you to take on a fresh perspective. Maybe, your whole world has been turned upside down. But you're having to be objective and see yourself in a different light, as well as situations. And the more you can pull back and gain focus, the more chance you stand to succeed. So you're having to make peace with something. You did some introspection, some thinking, maybe it tied to an earth sign person, and you're really having to look over the past and reevaluate your goals so that you can move toward a better future for yourself. This is a week that requires your patience and your perseverance. And it's going to be easy with this new perspective for you to be realistic about your decisions. This is a week for you to maintain composure, and that is key. Regardless of what's happening, try to keep that tranquil state of mind. And regardless of what's coming at you, a disappointment, a setback, treachery, deceit, delay, you're going to be able to move through that without having your spirit broken. And you're going to be able to maintain your composure against accusations and, setups where people try to manipulate you emotionally or try to make you feel guilty when you shouldn't. So some of you may be making a lot of sacrifice. It may be for a worthy goal. There may be something big at stake where that's necessary, but others of you will be coming into self-awareness where you realize that you've been making some sacrifices and you've been getting very little return on it. You haven't been making any gains, or the gains that you've been making have been too slow and too small. And part of it is because you have been lacking confidence or faith in yourself, and you've been going with the path of least resistance. You've been allowing yourself to be too easily influenced or manipulated by other people and going along with situations that have in no way been good for you. So this is a week for you to get things out in the open. Maybe you've been hiding your frustration about one thing, and then it plays out in another area of your life as a resentment. Maybe you're even striking out at people who don't deserve it because you're not dealing with the core issue. So each time that you put those rose-colored glasses on, each time that you live in denial or sit around and wait for something to happen or get better, you're going to find yourself having to deal with something else as a result of that. So it's going to feel like a domino effect. You didn't take care of this, you chose to ignore it, and ultimately it reached over here and started affecting this area of your life. This is about understanding why you need to look out for your own self-interest, because no matter how ready you are to begin moving in that better direction, it's going to be very tempting and very easy for you to fall back on those self-limiting habits and attitudes. So this is about being, objective and maintaining your composure, and not being oblivious to situations or too self-absorbed where you don't recognize what's happening. For some of you, there could be, maybe somebody's having to pay for some kind of recovery, perhaps recovering from some type of addiction or some kind of mysterious illness, something that is hard to define. Now, the underlying energy is this Eight of Swords. And so you're feeling trapped by a situation, maybe even oppressed in some way. You may feel like you're between a rock and a hard place. You're caught in a vice. And maybe that's a relationship or a situation where you've been going in circles. Maybe you haven't been able to come up with any ideas or break a chain of thought that you are caught in. But you feel like a prisoner, and you could very well be encountering a situation where you're having to take on extra responsibility. So again, it's important for you to recognize when it's a worthy sacrifice or when it's not. So something is you're gonna hear something this month that changes your agenda, your schedule, and you feel bound to a circumstance that you couldn't change, prevent, or control. And this is likely to be something that you thought was already handled or dealt with, and now it's back for you to deal with again. So you may be frustrated, but again, maintaining that sense of composure and not being passive is going to allow you to move forward. So you may be irritated because people waited until the last minute, or you weren't able to get the head start that you needed to deal with something. And again, it may be because either you or someone close to you waited too long to deal with a health issue, a personal matter, or a professional situation. And this is a problem that you never saw coming. And so you're going to have to put in that extra time, the patience, effort, and really work hard and be diligent to get things back on track. Again, this is a month where you need to examine whether you're being a willing prisoner, whether you're being rigid in your stance, your thoughts, if you're being narrow-minded, or you're allowing your passion to drive a path, and you're not looking at the future. In fact, you're sacrificing your future because you're just focused in what's right in front of you, the today. So you may have to work much harder than you were expecting to move things along and keep yourself from being overwhelmed. This is going to be a month that focuses on your past, perhaps even your ancestry, or again, connecting to those spirit messages. And you may feel a sense of mourning, disappointment. There may be a need to release or surrender. Something or someone may be passing away. Now, situations are going to connect to the future and your independence and the things that impact your future, the people tied to your destiny. And it's going to be a challenging month. You may be weighing your options. It could be your plans for income, or whether your plans are moving along too slowly, or something is progressing as it should. There's some kind of dilemma that you're facing where maybe you don't have enough information, or you're blocking your emotions, or you're blocking change, or you're having to face some kind of opposition. And it seems like this is going back over something. And, you're going back over a situation, going back in time. This is probably going to tie to some kind of promise that was made, or some kind of invitation to something. You're going to experience some kind of tension or inner conflict. And part of that is probably being set in your own way, and this fear of stepping into something unknown in spite of the fact that it makes sense. The point is, you'd rather be where it's safe and where it feels familiar. For some of you, maybe this relates to expanding yourself through travel or pushing some boundaries. And in spite of wanting to open yourself to that experience, you have some guilt over maybe leaving other people behind and committing to something extended. This could be perhaps an extended trip abroad. For some of you, and this is odd, there could be some kind of fascination with ships or boats or the sea. And for some of you, this is about wanting some understanding and yet feeling isolated from that support. All right, Pisces, I hope you enjoyed this reading. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. And of course, you can always book a personal reading at thealchemistastrologer.com.